I tell you the story, not because I want you to say, wasn't that wonderful? I was able to reach into his mind and bring him back to reality. I tell you that story because I can't really say that I had done the right thing. Because I could well understand why he'd want to remain in the recess of his mind. Because reality was nothing but a concrete cell, abuse of guards, and torture and abuse. And what did I have to hope? What hope could I give him? What could I offer him? I couldn't offer him anything. In fact, what I've told him is if you go to trial, you'll be found guilty. The trial process in Guantanamo Bay is a sham, it's a fix, and it's a disgrace. And when our Prime Minister tells us that he must allow due process to take place in Guantanamo Bay, that is an incredible, cynical comment solely designed to treat you as fools. Because it's not just me telling Omar the fix is in. It's military lawyers themselves that say that. Or you could even ask the previous judge who was on the file, Judge Brownback, when he got frustrated because we weren't getting disclosure, he got punted within 3 days. And when I talk about bringing him back to reality, I always recall what he said to me. You will leave me. Everybody does. I have never, in my experience, and I have thought of myself as a pretty tough criminal lawyer, and there are those who will tell you that's probably true. I have never met someone like Omar, someone who has been so abused and so abandoned by those we should know better. And I'm not preparing this speech, I'm just talking off the cuff here. And as I talk about Omar, I want to say to you that he has been abandoned. He has been abandoned by our government. He has been abused by our government. And it's not me who just says that. The Supreme Court of Canada said that. In a recent Supreme Court decision in a case that we took to the Supreme Court, the highest court in Canada said that the treatment of Omar Khadr in Guantanamo by the Americans is a violation of the International Convention on Torture and the Geneva Conventions, and that Canada was complicit in that abuse. And I suggest to you that no greater accusation can be levied against any civil government that purports to uphold the rule of law than to be accused of being involved in torture. And what does that say about how cheaply we Canadians, how our reputation as compassionate people was sold so cheaply? And yet we Canadians have been silent. My friend Wallace Malik here tonight, who has been assisting me over the months and giving me a lot of encouragement, I said to him, there are times I think I'm the lone Muslim voice. And I think there's a lot of truth in that. I don't say poor me. But I have been talking about Omar Khadr for a long time. I recently was in Vancouver, and I was given an award by various law societies of Canada And I shocked him when I said I didn't want the award. I didn't want a piece of glass. But I agreed to accept it so that I could talk about my favorite subject, Omar Khadr. And I spoke to over 200 lawyers at this big reception in Vancouver after I received my piece of glass. And I received a standing ovation. I was the man of the hour, the man of the moment. And I never received one single email or one single call the next day. And I have talked everywhere. And I have received standing ovations from one end of the country to the other. But does it translate into action? Not at all. I've been in audiences of hundreds and hundreds of people. And does it translate into action? Not at all. Do I feel frustrated tonight? Yes. I'm Scottish, so I get edgy when I'm tired. Your voices have not been heard. I'm tired of people saying, thank you, Mr. Edney. Thank you. Great hearing you. Then going home and saying, wasn't it nice listening to that guy? Even though he's got a funny accent. And then going to work the next day. Justice is not about that. Justice is about living it. Being it. It makes us who we are. Not your fancy house, your fancy car. I strongly believe in justice. I strongly believe in law. And some of you may grin or think I've lost it. I see law, I see the rule of law as a positive force. I see law as a great equalizer. I see law tempering power. Law is not the enemy of liberty, it is simply its partner. And myself and my co-counsel, because as I talk, each and every time I talk, I'm also talking on behalf of my co-counsel, Nate Whitling, who's been with me every step of the way. We have been successful fighting for Omar in Canada, and tremendously unsuccessful fighting for Omar south of the border. And I keep looking for that Muslim voice. I'm tired of Muslims hiding. I keep telling Muslims that you're the most educated group in Canada. You're involved in the highest levels of society. And you have nothing to apologize for. In fact, just a few days ago, I was speaking at Yale University. And I talked about racial profiling. And the whole faculty and the students, they all agreed. It wasn't a surprise to them. So you have nothing to apologize for. Nothing prevents you from standing up and fighting for justice. In fact, that's part of your creed. That's part of your Islamic faith, taking care of your neighbor.